We are in the midst of a significant transformation. Have you ever considered how valuable the diploma you'll receive here today, or the one you earned a few years ago, will be 4 years from now? Actually, it's not me asking this, but Matt Shumer. Matt Shumer has an article called Something Big is Happening, and it became incredibly popular. Some of you might have read it. Matt Shumer is a software engineer, and he talks about how he no longer writes a single line of code in his daily life. He's talking about how business life has fundamentally changed and how he just gives prompts, just speaks to the computer, then goes for a walk, and when he comes back, everything has been done much better than what he himself had written, done, or coded, and it's all completed. My name is Sevims. I completed my studies in industrial engineering at Istanbul University. Following that, I pursued my MBA at London South Bank University in London, and I began my professional journey in production. I worked for various production firms spanning across different sectors. In production, logistics, and then realizing how much the future was also changing along with my own field of interest, I understood that I simply couldn't do without technology, and being part of such an incredibly massive transformation truly excites me. I'd even say it's a bit frightening. What I'll be discussing here are actually these badges, which I'll talk about in a moment, and certificates. These have actually started to take up a significant place in our lives, and I really want to elaborate on them a bit more. Back in 2022, artificial intelligence couldn't even solve a simple math problem. By 2023, he had successfully passed the bar examination, and by 2024, he had already achieved a master's degree level. Then, in 2025, he began to write dozens upon dozens of lines of code and started establishing fully autonomous systems. By 2026, having acquired a great many competencies, artificial intelligence itself might be able to perform people's jobs, the work they do, and even their abilities, and many jobs and positions may no longer be needed. In this new transformation, new opportunities are actually emerging, and my aim here is to ensure you see and seize them. A study by Stanford University found that Generation Z between 21 and 25 is now 50% less present in companies than before. The Salesforce CEO, Mark Benioff, has been talking about how business operations are now being handled by autonomous systems and automation, and that there is no longer a requirement for the same number of employees as there was previously. Last month, Jack Dorsey laid off half of his employees, the co-founder of Twitter, and he stated, "We are now doing everything with automation. Artificial intelligence means, as I mentioned, we no longer need as many employees as we once did, so we're reducing the company by half." These are some of the latest news items that have recently emerged, keeping us busy. In a study conducted by Anthropic regarding Anthropic Claude, perhaps some of you use Claude, in the research conducted by Claude's company, Anthropic, we actually only use artificial intelligence to the extent of that red section over there, and currently the full capacity of what AI can do is only this much. We haven't quite reached that particular stage yet. This is simply the phase where it's currently being put into use. This chart, I truly believe this chart is an excellent one. It effectively demonstrates where artificial intelligence can genuinely take over and where it will undoubtedly encounter significant difficulties, revealing precisely where its true potential is directed. I find it to be a very insightful chart. If we were to discuss this particular point, it has already quite extensively permeated the software world, and we are still utilizing it a great deal, even if not yet to its full potential. But software, as Matt Shumer also elaborates in his article, they actually initially intended to commence with software development when creating artificial intelligence. Because if we develop the software, many things will progress much faster. If we can get the computer to write code for many other tasks and software solutions, then the software and applications we couldn't do or spent much time on and many other things, the computer will actually do itself, and the pace of change will increase much faster. I believe we can actually see the opportunity right here. The places where there's still a lot of potential are, for example, construction areas, food and service, and also public transportation, general transport. People, you must have seen it, things like maintenance, or perhaps the repair of something when it breaks down in your home. Actually, manual skills, abilities, and perhaps with creativity, those personal touches will gain immense importance for tasks that even computers cannot perform. They will become progressively more significant in the world. So, what are we going to do about it? I might have spoken a little negatively, please forgive me. From this point on, I want to transition to a more positive outlook. So what actions will we take? What exactly will we do? The Lovable application had offered unlimited use on Women's Day. It's a Lovable platform for developing websites and applications, all driven by prompts. And that day was Sunday. I wasn't really focused on it as I was spending time with my kids, but at noon, it came to mind and I got to work. I couldn't sleep until 3 and I developed 20 applications in a flash, in a mass production style. I'm talking about 20 active websites, and I just gave a prompt saying, design this website, and waited for it to work. I opened many windows and had them all produced in series simultaneously. To accomplish this 5 years ago would have taken years, hundreds of engineers' years, but now it's something we can do in just 3 hours. I'd like to give an example from one of my days. How's it all going? Because with technology, we can't truly get away from it, we can't disconnect, and it's getting more and more integrated into our lives. Gemini sends me a notification every morning, precisely at 7:55. I'd really like to receive notifications, like positive affirmations, and also about my future vision. Sometimes in the early morning, I actually listen to those. So it sends me a notification specifically concerning that. You see, a notification. Secondly, I can collect all the daily news concerning artificial intelligence. Then, when I wake up each morning, I can easily learn what has transpired that day, what new updates have been released, and what significant changes have occurred within different companies. I get all this information first thing in the morning. When a thought for a LinkedIn post comes to my mind, for example, right now, I won't be writing the full text about this event here. I will just explain my personal feelings. I'll tell ChatGPT, I took part in an event just like this, and I got to meet these friends. When I write this, it will respond to me, and I will have perhaps spent only 5 minutes on it. It will have prepared the post for me, and actually we can now set up so many things with automation, whereas before we might have struggled with it a bit more. We were using applications that seemed a bit more technical, but gradually, that too began to shift to prompts. Now, when we tell it to set up this automation, it can handle that as well. With Claude's advanced text, I ask it to write a company article for me in the Harvard Business Review style. I give it the topic. Sometimes I don't even give it the topic. I tell it to find it on Reddit. I tell it to find the most discussed topic, and it then extracts that information for me. And what's more, it presents it in a highly professional manner, writing it for me in the precise format that Harvard Business Review uses when it publishes its articles. This is the Gamma application. As a student, you might have used it in your own presentations. When you mention your presentation or project, it instantly generates visuals and a ready-made presentation. It gets it ready in 2 minutes. I used Claude when preparing this presentation, getting format support from it. When I didn't get the result I wanted from Gamma, I tried different methods. So how do we adapt to this in Turkey? What kind of transition are we making? Now, 30.7% of internet users are actively using ChatGPT, and 99.94% of all AI web traffic is happening through ChatGPT. Fal.ai, technical friends might know, its founders are Turkish. Burkaygur and Görkem Yurtsever, they both previously worked at Google and are currently based in Silicon Valley. They've successfully secured an investment totaling $1.5 million. My friend Ebru Yıldırım Gün, the founder of Olang, is here. And we also have our co-founders, Aziz Ulak, Berkay Dişçioğlu. Well, they are also from İTÜ Çekirdek. We first met Ebru 9 years ago. Back then, she was working hard to grow her startup. It was a small venture, and now her office is in Silicon Valley, San Francisco. She established her business there, and her company is currently valued at $1.5 million. Now, not everyone here is from the computer science department, but I'd like to find out who among you is, or who writes code and who doesn't. Who here is studying a computer-related major? Then let me see those who are not. I imagine there are very few. Okay, very few don't read. It's mostly computer science department participation. Now, I've divided this section into two, because platforms used by non-coders will gradually become similar, but coders, those who write code, must be present on certain platforms. Someone who doesn't write code can enter Claude AI. It could be any department. So, the possibilities for examples are truly limitless. You can go into Claude AI, describe your daily work saying, I handle my tasks in this specific way. Please conduct market research for me in Bursa, identify the leading companies in the textile sector, and list the firms that employ people in this field. When you write any prompt like that, it provides you with all the necessary research. All we need to do is check it or get in touch with the right people. Among the most active apps here, platforms I think everyone should try daily are Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. These are 3 applications, and there's also NotebookLM. As a student, you definitely want a platform where you can upload your research, your assignments, and also access your research files, and then you might want to create projects from them. Products you should try. Now we're using ChatGPT. I hear about it from everyone daily, but ChatGPT can actually fall a bit behind AI because ChatGPT doesn't give us every function we want. ChatGPT is fine for talking, for chatting. It's a good tool, but its other capabilities with AI we just saw in the table. They have such great capacities, and discovering them is actually in your hands. Claude can improve our work and our processes. Gemini is capable of performing really good research for us, and each of these artificial intelligence models inherently possesses its own distinct character and structure. All of these AIs are trained on a specific model. Their underlying frameworks are prepared, dictating how they should speak to people, how they should interact, and how they should behave respectfully. For those of you who don't write code, the applications I just showed you, like Lovable, Bold, Neo, Replit, and Emergent Shy. You absolutely must go and try these applications. In your daily life, whatever small idea comes to your mind, just go and enter it right away. For example, sometimes I have moments when an idea comes to me in the car. I'm waiting for something. I tell them, get in the car, go online, and in just 2 minutes, create this application. Then I can switch to my computer, develop it further, and test it out. Coders here, is there anyone among you who still doesn't have a GitHub account? No? Good. I'm very glad to hear that. What's truly important now is no longer just a CV. What truly matters is your level of activity on your GitHub profile, the number of problems you've successfully solved, and the particular areas that genuinely capture your interest. It is absolutely crucial that your GitHub profile remains active. It's going to be a platform that employers, particularly those in technical roles, will be looking at very closely. And make sure to install Cursor Cloud onto your computer and definitely begin to utilize the cloud code from Cursor Cloud. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't learn software. You should definitely learn software development, but while you're learning software, it's crucial that you explore what Cloud Code is capable of and the kinds of solutions it can provide for you. In the same vein, the more hands-on experience you acquire with other platforms, the better you will understand their underlying operational principles. Now, at this point, I'm going to shift our focus a little bit. I am an Amazon Web Services community builder myself. Amazon Web Services is one of the biggest cloud platforms, one of the biggest technology platforms in the world. In many job applications for positions we apply for in Europe or America, they often ask us, do you have this specific certificate? Do you have a solutions architect certificate? They ask, do you possess a data architect certificate? When making selections, even during the application stage, they inquire about these qualifications, and such certifications are given significant importance. It's essentially a framework designed to assess the extent of your expertise. From now on, there will be, and indeed we are already seeing, a significant number of technical positions where your university degree will be checked, but also whether you possess a relevant certificate. If I were to elaborate a bit on this, Amazon Web Services, for example, has many different branches. To study architecture, pause to study data analytics, pause in various different fields like developer operations, pause you might want to develop or improve yourself, pause, and for these different branches, you will have different paths. Pause. If cloud practitioner is the most basic of these, for example, the very simplest one. The next level you reach is the associate level.
You learn a bit more technical skills and then you move on to the professional level. I'd like to discuss the communities that Amazon Web Services offers. For students, there are Amazon Web Services Cloud Clubs. Our friends are organizing themselves really well. Being a part of these communities and setting up these activities will truly in life, in many aspects and professions, contribute immensely to your success. And it's truly an amazing thing that you're acquiring these competencies right here. There's a community builder community. I believe there are currently around 3,000 people in the world. Furthermore, Amazon Web Services allows for the establishment of user groups in situations where you don't necessarily have to be a student. You can establish user groups in various cities, and there are also Amazon Web Services heroes. As of yesterday, they also became 251 individuals. These communities are genuinely very important, allowing you to be together with people who truly share your interests, and they're also incredibly crucial for keeping you well informed about a multitude of opportunities. Now, we're discussing how a diploma alone will no longer suffice, but on the other hand, certificates actually provide us with something, a means for us to acquire new knowledge, perhaps a form of validation, perhaps a valuable instrument. And now education, just education, is simply not enough. Education is boundless, education is entirely free. So, when you enter EDX, you are able to take Harvard's coding course, CS50, any course you wish, any course you want, you can just go in and find it on EDX. You don't even need to pay a single fee. You only pay if you're going to get a certificate, if you're planning to take the examination. And apart from that, it's entirely free of cost. Skill Builder is also Amazon's platform. You can also work on a path-based approach here to gain proficiency. And the best part is Amazon Web Services Educate.com. If you want to gain practical experience in cloud solutions, here you have access to labs and you can use them for free without opening any account, no company or personal one, and without entering a credit card. As you practice in these labs, you can actually see companies' real production phases, what they use, and how they set up their systems. And these are entirely focused on students. There's absolutely no need for you to pay any fees. Anthropic has recently launched a whole new set of training programs. Currently, they offer 13 different courses. It begins with Cloud 101, and they've initiated many other courses, such as Cloud Code.
Well, these trainings are in English, both reading and video-based. I haven't seen the Turkish version yet.
If you search for it on a YouTube channel, you might find its Turkish translated video formatted version, which I'm currently filming as a series. I also don't want to overlook Google's and Microsoft's educational platforms, because just like Amazon, Google and Microsoft also have these platforms available. And definitely Google also has a scoring system. Microsoft also offers trainings in the form of learning paths, and it's very important for you to both discover your areas of interest and to gain competence for yourself. You know, like, I'm learning this code, but where will I use it and how will I apply it? It's crucial for you to be able to see these things as well. Now I only have my certificate. These are not enough. In fact, if you have a problem right now, that problem is actually a blessing. You know, even Facebook came from daily communication and university trying to solve an existing problem. They tried to communicate, to establish. There are hundreds of people who, by solving a problem they've personally experienced, can actually transform it into a career. You can start with even the slightest problem you've encountered, perhaps a common issue students face, and then develop a specific tool to address it. This will transform into a real-world solution, but where you begin must absolutely be with your own problem. Because if you don't truly understand another person's problem, you simply cannot address their vulnerabilities, the specific shortcomings, or the actual requirements involved. But an experience you've lived yourself, you can resolve much more easily. Make sure your GitHub projects have profiles that reflect these problems you're facing and your areas of interest. Because when you apply for jobs, especially if it's a startup or for technical positions, people will look at what you've done on your GitHub, how active you are, and which specific projects you focused on. When I arrived here, I honestly didn't want to just give a presentation and then depart. Please take some concrete action. I truly wish for things to be noticeably different once you've left this venue. Therefore, for those who haven't tried this at all, and there might be some who already have, but for those who haven't, I urge you to definitely access one of the applications I previously mentioned, Lovable or Bold, and then compose a prompt. Even if it's just for a brief trial, your credits might quickly run out.
Do a little testing today, come back again tomorrow, and improve it further tomorrow.
This tool over here isn't quite right. Its button isn't working. Connect this to that. Do some iterations like these. When you encounter a problem or get stuck, you will know exactly where you need to improve yourself. I'm going to upload a database. What exactly should I use for that? Just ask ChatGPT. I mentioned that ChatGPT is quite good for conversational purposes. I want to connect a database from a knowledgeable friend, Lovable. Like, where should I connect it and how exactly should I go about connecting it? And from there, you're actually opening a window and a door for your self-development. You also need to actively increase your global visibility through the things you share and create here, because we are currently in a time where you can no longer simply sit back and expect companies to come and hire you. Companies are actively seeking individuals who can effectively solve problems, those who possess strong problem-solving abilities, and companies will undoubtedly continue with their layoffs. These job eliminations will not come to an end. Everyone will actually need to acquire entrepreneurial qualities and also the necessary competencies. Because, as I've said, problem solving is key. People will face problems and they will be looking to see if there are individuals who can solve them. The superpower wasn't always available, but now it exists and it's completely free. Of course, once you progress to a more advanced stage and begin trying to convert it into a commercial product, you will then need to make it a paid service. But the initial training phase, the trial phase, and the learning phase are all entirely free. You might have heard of Claude, perhaps. Its name changed a few times. It was Moldbot, then it became Claude. He's the founder of Claude. I think his GitHub serves as a really good example, showing that success isn't always straightforward. This is because he has more than 50 projects under his belt. And where did he finally find success? He found it right here, on his very last attempt. There were many attempts. Success, often appears like a sudden breakthrough, a jump to instant success, but in reality, that's not at all the case behind the scenes. Everyone achieves it through intense efforts and struggles, but when you're doing what you love, you don't even feel that it's a struggle or a difficulty, because you do it with passion. But it's a journey, not a sudden leap or a quick jump. What I want to say here is essentially be yourselves, because in the age of artificial intelligence, AI will be able to do many things. Instead of finding excuses, what do you truly love? What are you genuinely curious about? What are your interests? Focus on yourself, on your own interests, your own skills, your own abilities. Be yourself and be persistent, because it won't be something you achieve in a single day, in just one day. You will constantly need to work and put in a lot of effort. Be honest, be brave, be curious, be open, be optimistic, and be engaged. Thank you very much. Thanks.